Earth Abides, available on MGM Plus on December 1st, and you could watch it right here on the Roku channel, Roku portal, one of the stars of that television show that's available for streaming very shortly, as an expert on Vikings, just not the Minnesota kind, Alexander Ludwig, right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Good to see you, sir.
Hey, man, great to see you, too.
You bet. So when they're making a show about something that I guess deals with the human race and how you're going to handle it, and something dystopian may happen, get somebody from the Hunger Games or Lone Survivor and hire that actor? Is that basically
I think that's how I got the job.
You're an expert on this sort of thing?
Who's used to this?
Right. But what attracted you to this show, Alexander?
Well, our mutual friend, Michael Wright.
He's one of the best.
The best. Such an incredible executive who runs MGM Plus.
Yep.
He gave me a call, and my manager, Stephanie Simon, called me and said, there's a chance that this is coming our way. Mm-hmm. And he called me and said, you have to do this. This is a book written in 1949. It's never been more topical, and it's about people. What I loved about this show is it's a totally different take on the post-apocalyptic kind of world. You know, it's there's no zombies. There's none of that. This is about people.
Damn it, man.
I know. I'm sorry. And I love a monster show as much as the next guy.
Sure,
but to me, this is about people, and it's about the tribes that we become, and what happens when you run into another tribe that doesn't want the same things that you want. What happens when you have to figure out how to use solar panels for energy? What happens when disease strikes? What happens when you're attacked by a wild animal and you have no doctors around? I mean, these are the things that we explore in the show. And what I love about it so much is it is actually very hopeful. As you go through these 6 episodes, you follow Isherwood Williams, my character, from the ages of 25 all the way to the ages of 70, as he rebuilds civilization. It was the gift of gifts for an actor.
That's pretty cool, man. Yeah. So, obviously hopefulness, that's what we're looking for.
Exactly.
It kind of sounds like what would you do if type moments, kind of like Breaking Bad. Like, what happens if something happens in your life that is completely, life-changing? How would you act? And it sounds like like Earth is broken bad, and what happens now 100%. To the human race within it, And
there's a scene where Ish decides whether or not to sell meth to the rest of the community, but he decides against it. So.
Are you messing with me now? Wait a minute, there's an RV in this? I love it.
But no, totally. I mean,
I didn't mean like literally, like Ishenberg. Like you suddenly become Ishenberg? No. What I'm saying is just like, what would you do if you're placed in a certain 100%. Situation, and how would you react as a human race
and those are the
member?
best stories to me. Like it's the ones that makes you go, what would I do? And I think after having lived through the horrible circumstances of COVID, I think we've all asked ourselves a version of this question. What would I have done if this got worse?
Yes.
And it's amazing. As an actor, you get to live many lives, and this was one that I certainly don't take for granted. It was just a profound, brutal at times, but just the most rewarding experience.
And it's on MGM Plus. Earth Abides starts streaming, 6 episodes, MGM Plus, starting the very 1st of December. Everyone should check that out. How, Alexander Ludwig here on the Rich Eisen Show, how old were you when you got hooked up with Hunger Games? How old were you?
I was 19.
19.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And what was that experience like for you?
It was crazy. I mean, it's like, my perception of young fame has changed a lot as I've gotten older. I think looking back now, hindsight's 2020. I think I got very, very lucky with my whole experience, in that I had just enough success that I could start a career, which was my dream. And got to work, and then through shows like Vikings and Heels, which is on Netflix right now, I continued to be able to grow as an actor and learned what it really took, but not too much exposure that I felt like it was going to, remove me from my childhood or things like that. So I'm so lucky with the way that happened, and I'm so grateful for that film, because I really wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for that and everything I've done subsequent to this moment.
I can't imagine. Again, people will say it's like, it's a kid's book, Hunger Games in a way, or okay, I guess in the way Lord of the Flies was a kid's book too. You know what I mean? Like, were you? But that wasn't your first gig either. Like you'd already
I had a little bit of success earlier on. Right? I did like The Seeker, The Dark is Rising was like my first real shot.
How old were you on that?
I was 13.
Okay.
And that was like, it was a bit of a disaster, but it was one of the greatest experiences a kid could ever have. The film didn't turn out great, but I'm so proud to have been a part of it. And then from that, I got Race to Witch Mountain with Dwayne Johnson, who I noticed you guys have a picture of him there, and that was an incredible experience.
What was it like working with Dwayne Johnson?
The best. He was the best. Like, just like, it was my first time working with like a huge star, and I was just, completely starstruck. And he actually we loved playing guitar together, so he gave me his favorite guitar when I turned 16 on that set, even though I looked like I was 8, and I still have it.
So he gave you a 16th birthday present of a guitar.
Yeah,
from his
guitar.
Yeah. And what do you mean you would just sit there like in between scenes?
Like in between scenes, like when I was skipping school because I hated doing school on set. I would like walk up to his trailer and we'd play music together because I love music. And he's one of the good ones. Every once in a while, they say don't meet your heroes. Like, he's somebody I would absolutely suggest meeting. He's just a humble, very kind, incredibly hardworking human being, and I'm grateful. I mean, I haven't spoken to him for a couple of years. I remember when I started shooting Bad Boys, he sent me a really, really great email and a workout plan. And
a workout plan?
Yeah, because
they wanted me to follow that, though.
100%. They wanted me to get a lot bigger for that film, especially the third one. So for that character, so I followed that plan to a T.
So, yeah, I mean, if The Rock is going to send you what he's cooking, you better follow the entire recipe, right? Like, you can't just have a cheat day when Dwayne Johnson sends you this is what I would do.
No, and it was a lot of eating and a lot of heavy lifting.
Oh, great.
I really don't miss that. I don't want to get that big.
No kidding.
Oh, it's just like, you just feel like sluggish and just like, it's a lot of weight to carry around.
Sounds like a great day to me, then. Maybe that's why Dwayne isn't sending me, this is what you should do for your 40-yard dash type stuff. But were you freaked out with stuff that was happening in the Hunger Games, though? I mean, did some of that stuff freak you out?
No, I was excited. People always say, like, are you, I'll never, like, if I'm walking in an airport and somebody, is a Vikings fan or a Hunger Games fan, they come up and they go, oh, you must get this all the time. You must hate this. First off, it doesn't happen all the time, but when it does,
sure.
I don't, I love it. I love it. I mean, people are usually really respectful, and it means the world to me that, we make this stuff for people to see it. It's like, I want everybody to watch Earth Abides, you know, and be moved by it. So when somebody comes up to me in person and tells me how much it moved them, it's like, it's everything to me.
Yeah, but I mean, being a 19-year-old and something about hunting children for sport, that doesn't freak you out?
I think I was probably a little bit of a sick kid. It didn't bother me that
much. Now we're getting somewhere in this conversation. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. That beat the Squid Game to the punch, man.
Yeah, it really did. I think I remember the author talking about how she was watching, this is a little dark, but she was basically watching clips of the war in Afghanistan at the time, and then she switched the channel and it was a reality show, and she said, what if we paired this together, and it was it's a really crazy idea, and I loved the first book. I was completely fascinated by it. But yeah, of course, it's a dark idea, but I think that these kind of stories are also really important to warn us, I guess, or just kind of foreshadow, this is where we could go if we're not careful, that's obviously a very extreme reality, but at the end of the day, it was just the dream of dreams. And this business is just so much persistence and so much luck, and you just stay in the ring, and I always say, you just keep casting that line until you get a bite, and that was one of my first big ones, and I'm eternally grateful for it.
So who'd you pick stuff up from there? Stanley Tucci? What do you?
100%.
Who else?
Everybody I worked with.
Elizabeth Banks. Liz Banks was on that 100%. Set.
Yeah, Stanley was somebody who I got, these kind of huge films. You don't get as much time with people.
Sure.
Jen and I probably had 10 days together, and you're kind of in and out and ships in the night in a lot of scenes. But like, Stanley was somebody I was watching very carefully, and years later, I ended up working with Tony Hopkins, and I remember going to him just saying, take me to your trailer, show me what you do. I'm fascinated by, because every actor has what works for them. They have their own process, and I'm of the mindset that we can always get better and always grow. So for me, I'm just trying to be better every single day. So that's the greatest thing about this business. You work with your heroes and you get to learn from them.
All right, you're not allowed now to just move on. So you go up to Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Excuse me,
Okay.
Sir
No,
Anthony
listen, not everybody calls him Tony.
I was like, oh,
like
Tony,
he's a
okay.
tiger on a cereal box.
Right.
So, what do you say to you when you said, "Take me in your trailer and let's talk about the craft"?
It was actually fascinating. So his approach to acting, and I've absolutely taken this to my work, is he's almost OCD about his lines. So he will write numbers beside his lines, saying how many times he's recited that specific line. Huh. And I mean, these numbers were like 300, like 100, 250
on his script.
Okay. And his whole ideology behind that is just, the more I know it like the back of my hand, the more free I am in the moment. And I so believe that to be true. I mean, with our business, but I equate this to being an athlete, to sports, to anything.
Reps it's practice.
It's not
freer.
the game.
You play freer.
Yeah, 100%. It's about the preparation. And it did take me a long time to realize that as a kid. You're 19 years old, you booked the Hunger Games, you think you figured it out. You got so much to learn. I tell kids now who have had these experiences, these lightning in a bottle moments. I'm just like, just remember, it's about the work. It's amazing when it happens, but what are the chances you get 2 Hunger Games back to back? It's about growing as an actor. And preparation frees you up completely for that. Bryan Cranston wrote an amazing book called A Life in Parts. Mm-hmm. And he talks a lot about this. He talks a lot about this in the auditioning room too. He's like, whenever I audition, I'm not there to get a job. I'm there to give a performance. And the more I've prepared for that, the more free you can be.
So my 2 follow-up questions. What's the largest number you saw on Anthony Hopkins' script? Do you remember?
I can't.
Was it a 4-figure number?
I don't know if no. I saw like 300.
Okay.
I can't remember. It was a couple of years. It was probably like a decade ago now.
Well, I mean, and he could have really messed with you, because the other one is like, so when you walk in the trailer, does he have fava beans and a nice Chianti sitting right there?
Thankfully not this time.
Come in, kid. I'm having a friend for dinner.
Clarice.
That's phenomenal. Yeah. That's so cool, man. And we had James Harrison in that chair just a month ago.
I was wondering why it was feeling a little loose.
It barely fit in it, And yeah, it was him. Mike O'Malley came with him as well, the showrunner and creator and writer of Heels.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway because this is a sports show. Sure. I do know that Gronk was circling Heels as well for a beat. When I had signed on, Mike told me that they had a meeting with him, and I'm not sure why it didn't end up working out. But,
well, I mean, Mike O'Malley's as big a Patriot fan as there is, so I'm sure he's just like, let me mix 2 things together here. But so, how many scenes do you do? A lot of scenes with James Harrison?
Oh yeah, we got lots of scenes in Heels with James, and he is, I mean, just a beast.
Yes,
he's a beast, and I mean, just such a savage, and also like a sweetheart. And every time you get those moments, like, you cherish them, because more often than not, he's the one. I mean, he'll push you. He's hilarious though. Like, I love James. He's just so real. Like, he just does not care.
Yeah, he said, he was telling us that when he was doing interviews and things when he was a player of that nature, that he was shy. And you didn't want to talk. And I basically, I'm like, well, I've been the Q of that Q&A, and you didn't look shy to me. You looked angry and scary, like scary. Mm-hmm. And he goes, that was the shyness. And I'm like, man, I wish I'd known. I wish I'd known.
Oh, that's really nice for me to know too. Not all the days that he was screaming at me. He was really just a shy little baby.
I love that. TJ, you wanted to chime in? Real quick?
Alex, so you played Ace Spade on this show. What did you learn about professional wrestling through this process?
Man, I was never like a huge wrestling fan growing up. Like, if I did turn on the channel and wrestling was on, like as a kid, like I'd watch like The Edge, and I funny enough, Adam is now a friend of mine because he shot Vikings with me. But
Sure.
Or I'd see like The Rock, and I'd see these people, and I'd watch it for a little bit, and I loved it, but I was never like hooked like some of these people. And the more you talk about doing a wrestling show, the more I almost feel like these wrestling fans come out of the closet.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
places you just wouldn't expect. Like, oh, like I'm obsessed with wrestling, you know. And
Oh yeah.
I learned that there's nothing fake about this. Like the idea that we were even talking like it is insane, because it's a full-on stunt performance. The winners and losers, that part might be scripted, but even then, what we explore in that show is what happens when you don't want to follow the script. You know, the hero makes the most money. You know, what happens if you're in the ring and suddenly you go, no, I'm not losing this match. It becomes a shoot, and a shoot is a fight, you know, and this is when it gets serious. And I remember talking to Dwayne about this when I was 16. It's part of the reason why I did this show. He told me about experiences that he had where they didn't pull that chair hit. You know, that was for real. And I grew up, not some big professional, but I competed freestyle skiing when I was a kid. So I'm very comfortable in the air. So one thing that was so much fun to learn was doing like the aerials, you know, backflipping off the top turnbuckle and doing all that stuff. Pardon?
A moonsault.
A moonsault. There you go.
Yeah.
Stuff like that was just amazing. But there you go. Another wrestling fan out of the closet right here.
Oh no,
I've been out of that closet for a
he and
long
O'Shea
time, bro.
Jackson
Very much.
Jr. do a podcast every Wednesday.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, right here. No
I'll
contest
pretend
wrestling.
not to be offended by not being
No.
invited on that podcast.
It's all new. It's all
Well,
new.
you know,
Okay, good.
It's all new.
I know your people, so you might get a call.
That's right.
Soon.
Yes, that is
she might
yeah.
be somewhere in the studio.
For
here.
sure. Absolutely for sure. And the final boss has turned heel, has he not?
Oh yeah, The Rock. Yeah,
He
I don't know
is-
if you know about that, Alex.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
turned.
yeah.
You want to talk heels? I don't like it. I don't know. How? What are you laughing about? I've said it before. I don't like watching. I don't like watching Dwayne Johnson. You know.
But he
being
was a heel at the beginning.
I get it.
He's like
I
one of the most
understand.
famous.
I know, but now he's what can
Rich
I
is
say
like he's
except you're
Moana.
welcome. Like
You know,
Moana
yeah.
2 is coming out. I've got an 11-year-old daughter at home. I don't need her flipping on the TV and saying, what the hell happened to Dwayne Johnson, Dad? You know, I don't need that.
We need that in the wrestling world, because unlike Mr. McMahon, who had all the power, right? He couldn't really do anything to you. Now the final boss has all the power, and he can actually kick your butt, which makes him a little bit more dangerous than Mr. McMahon. So,
And you have his
that's where
guitar,
we're at.
man. You've got his guitar. You still have it, right? Obviously. Damn straight you do. All right.
Are you sure you have it, Alex? You were like,
No.
I have it until my kids need to start going to college. Then, I mean, look on eBay in a couple of years.
Well, I should say this. Make sure Alexander doesn't sell The Rock's guitar and watch Earth Abides. And watch it in copious amounts. Streaming on MGM Plus starting December 1st, and you can watch it right here on the Roku portal. Pleasure meeting you, sir. Come back
thanks for
anytime.
having me on. You're awesome,
Anytime.
Rich. Appreciate
right
you,
back
man.
at you. At Alexander Ludwig on Instagram and the other hellscape known as X. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.